Hey, have you seen the rabbit in the Cleveland Browns logo? It's quite difficult to see, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every member of the National Football League team has a logo, a mascot, or just something that fans can relate to. For the Cleveland Browns, it's their logo and other mascots, which include the brownie, the elf, and the dog. As always, every football team's uniform and helmet have something to do with the team's logo. The other 31 NFL teams all sport distinctive helmet logos, but the Browns are the only ones without one on theirs. This is because the team's logo is a helmet. The team has been through a lot of challenges, problems, setbacks, and wins, and the fans are very loyal to their team. The team launched a midfield logo in 2022. However, the plain helmet remains the team's official logo. The purpose of this video is to serve as a guide to both the current Cleveland Browns logo and the team's rich history of previous emblems. Let's unravel the mysteries behind the Cleveland Browns logo. You will be thrilled. Before we continue, please click the button below to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, remember to click the notification bell to be the first to know whenever we upload a new video. Since its beginning in 1944, the Cleveland Browns football team has had 7 different logos. One of these 7 logos was completely thrown out by the team and management of the Cleveland Browns. The story of the Cleveland Browns is one of challenges, shortcomings, setbacks, disappointment, and, of course, victories. Many people thought the Cleveland Browns story was divided into 2 parts. The first part was between 1944 and 1969. Since its first appearance in 1944, the helmet logo has changed many times before reaching its current form. The present logo of the Cleveland Browns is an orange helmet with nothing on it. Yup, no drawing, no fancy mascot, and definitely no image. A white stripe is only on the very top of the headdress. This is because the players on this team are the only ones who wear helmets with no graphics or letters. Although it has an alternate version that includes an elf named Brownie, there's not much to record about the team's logo. When it comes to the Cleveland Browns logo color, the Cleveland Browns football team uses brown, orange, and white as their official team colors. Since orange conveys a sense of optimism and vitality, these are key traits for every player on a football team. Orange is one of the colors you use if you want to pique people's interest. While white is associated with good things like cleanliness, innocence, light, kindness, heaven, safety, brilliance, and illumination. Brown, on the other hand, conveys feelings of fortitude and dependability. The color brown is typically linked with stability, reliability, security, and safety because of the way it is thought to look like the ground. It's rock-like in consistency. Now, you might ask, what does the Browns logo mean? Since the Cleveland Browns logo is a simple image of a helmet, people wonder if there are meanings attached to the logo. Let's find out. The new orange helmet stands boldly over the traditional brown and white stripes, representing the fervor of the dog pound. Aside from the above, Cleveland's strength and will are reflected in the new brown face mask. Now, let's examine the old Cleveland Browns logo. Except for the Cleveland Browns, every other National Football League team has a logo on its helmet. The Browns' unbranded helmet represents the team. First, the color of the Cleveland Browns' first logo didn't surprise anyone because it's the team's name. The club's name was reflected in the color scheme, and the elf stood for the club's bold, carefree spirit. The little guy's name is Brownie Elf, which also relates to the team's name. The word brownie rhymes with brown. The drawing was made by Dick Dugan, who is a sports cartoonist for the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Our little guy, Brownie, has a crown resting on his head. This signifies the team's desire to win every game. Whether they lived up to this or not is a story for another day. The head of the person is angled to the left. The logo looks like it came from the golden age of animation, even though the drawing has a jagged black border around it. In 1959, 11 years after the team debuted its first logo, it was modified. This time, Brownie Elf underwent a makeover, switching to a right-facing stance and giving up his royal crown for a baseball cap. Although he lost his crown in exchange for a hat, he was switching hands to hold the football with his right. His arms and face went white, and he was dressed in black and orange. Moreover, the shadows were eliminated and outlined in black. The new color scheme of orange and white better reflects the vibrant nature of the team's play. 1965 brought about the first dynamic change that was unused. Cleveland Browns owner Art Modell thought the team's logo was too simplistic when he purchased the team, so he had it changed. By the middle of the 1960s, a new logo had been developed, including a dark orange helmet with a white stripe at the peak and a black outline. This athletic clothing is seen in the profile. The brown and white letters CB that are twisted around each other on the gray faceguard stand for the team's home city and name, the Cleveland Browns. There are no oddball characters in the font. The Cleveland Browns never used jerseys with this logo during games. The football team abandoned the mascot Brownie Elf after the AFL and NFL merged in 1969. The emblem they used in 1970 is very similar to the one they scrapped in 1956. It only entails minimal adjustments. In 1970, the Cleveland Browns changed their logo by getting rid of 3 gray dots, making the black inner outline bigger, and adding a white face mask. Since the Cleveland Browns no longer felt the need to decorate their helmets with team branding, the wordmark CB was taken off. It wasn't bad, to both the team and the fans, it was a welcome development. The orange of today is much more vibrant, nearly crimson, while the black grill has been streamlined and given more graceful lines. The Cleveland Browns have an alternate logo called the Dawn Pound, which has the outline of a dog's face in black on a red background. The picture captures the team's competitive drive, determination, and focus on the prize. The designers made an effort to maintain the flag's fundamentals, such as the top 2 black and white stripes. They also stayed true to the original color scheme, which featured lots of vibrant oranges. The hidden image that the Cleveland Browns helmet tends to show is that of a rabbit pulling a cart or walker. There's this saying, once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. This relates to the fact that you won't see the rabbit just by looking at the helmet. It takes a while to get the picture, but once you decode the image, you'll readily see it without effort. For a while, it was a trending issue on Twitter and across the internet, but then it was really nothing to drag. If you can decode the rabbit logo, great. If you cannot, well, that's great too. The football team was bought by taxi tycoon Arthur B. Mickey McBride for the city in the newly formed All-America Football Conference, AAFC. The team was named after its first head coach, Paul Brown. You already know why Cleveland is part of the name, right? Of course, Cleveland is home to the football team. 2 years later, he debuted in the American Football League, AFL. According to the record, 4 championship games were played before the league disbanded in 1949, and the Browns won them all. After that, they joined the National Football League, NFL, where they have been dominant ever since. There was a stretch of years, from 1950 through 1955, where Cleveland went to the NFL title game every year and won 3 of those appearances. In 1953, McBride and his partners sold the club to a group of Cleveland businessmen for a staggering $600,000. After those first 8 years, the team was sold again, this time to a consortium led by New York advertising executive Art Modell. Even though Modell sacked Brown before the 1963 season, the team was led to victory by Brown, the team's running back. After winning the title in 1964, the Browns returned to the Super Bowl the following year, where they were defeated by the Green Bay Packers. Cleveland joined the new American Football Conference after the AFL and NFL merged prior to the 1970 season, AFC. Luckily, the team made a comeback and was successful again by the early 1970s, making the playoffs in 1971 and 1972. In football, there must be a winning team and a losing team. For the Broncos, it was a showdown after their success came back. They subsequently slipped into mediocrity for the rest of the decade. If you have ever heard of the nickname Cardiac Kids, it was first used in 1979 and 1980. The game was one of the most exciting victories for the Browns, and that earned them the nickname Cardiac Kids and sparked something of a renaissance. Unfortunately for Browns fans, the team did not go past the first round of the playoffs when Sipe was the coach. Bernie Kosar, a quarterback drafted by the Browns in 1985, led the team to 3 AFC championship games in the late 80s, all of which were losses to the Denver Broncos. When John Modell announced in 1995 that he was moving the Browns to Baltimore, not many people agreed, but it had to be done. It caused a lot of anger and resentment among the team's die-hard fan base in Cleveland. After a lot of back and forth and lawsuits, the parties came to an agreement that let Modell move his team to Baltimore as an expansion franchise, the Baltimore Ravens, and that gave the Browns name, logo, and history back to Cleveland for use by a new team that would be back on the field by 1999 at the latest. The Browns didn't play again until 1999, when they had a new owner, Al Lerner. During that time, Cleveland Stadium was torn down, and First Energy Stadium was built on its old site. Since their return to the NFL, the Browns have only had 3 winning seasons and made the playoffs twice, 2002, 2020. After the Lerner family sold the team to businessman Jimmy Haslam in 2012, the franchise has been in a downward spiral ever since. Haslam was the owner of the Browns for 6 seasons. During that time, the team had 4 different head coaches and 4 different general managers. The Browns' 2016-2017 season under Hugh Jackson was the poorest in NFL history, as they finished 1-31.031, with a 0-16 record in 2017. As a result, they were awarded the first overall pick in the next year's draft. The 2020 Browns finished 11-5 and earned their first postseason trip since 2002 thanks to a Week 17 victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. To a large extent, the jerseys, pants, and socks of the Browns team have remained unchanged. However, we can't possibly say the same thing for the helmet. It had undergone numerous, significant redesigns.